Hey folks, so let's talk a little bit about the Tantalus. So for the most part, it was a fairly simple build to put together. When it came to taking all the flashing and the various different pieces of sprue off, it wasn't too difficult. The only big piece was at the back where the engines were. I needed to use a saw to essentially cut through it. When everything went together pretty good. There's just a few gaps that I need to address and some sanding that I'm going to have to take care of too. So for the most part, other than the pilot, everything is assembled. And I need to get a little bit more flashing and a little bit more cleaning up. So the green stuff is mostly going to revolve around some of the different joining pieces. So we have a joint here, we have some joints here, of course, which I'm going to have to sand down a little bit because of how everything came off or was actually assembled together. The rear here, I'm going to have to put a little bit of green stuff in there too. And for the most part, that's not too bad. When it comes to the other side, pretty much the same thing. Here we're gonna have to do a lot more sanding and a little bit of fill here. And we're going to have to do some fill and some fill there. Inside the vehicle itself, there is a large gap in here, which can be pretty easily taken care of with a larger piece of green stuff. Not my favorite way of fixing things, or at least it's not really that big of a deal, to be honest. I don't really think I'll have any problems with this for the most part. So how I put everything together, pretty much straightforward, just super glue, cleaned up the pieces, stuck everything together, and dry fit like 5 or 6 times to try and make sure that everything went together properly. The only tricky part was, I think, maybe just the back seat here, putting it together before assembling it inside. Other than that, everything was pretty easy to put together. When it came to anything that had warping, the 2 blades underneath and the, I guess, rudder, as well as the sail, there was some warping going on, but the blades and the rudder definitely reformed very well after I put it in some boiling water, so no problem there. I've dealt with a lot of other types of resin, and this one actually, I don't know, the Forge World resin works really nicely for going back together in the shape that it was previously in, at least in regards to the 2 blades and the rudder. The sail, on the other hand, is a little bit more difficult. There's a bizarre warp in the center of it. There's kind of like it indents on the second vein from the top. So there's a bit of an indentation there. So I need to figure out how to fix that. But I'm not in a huge rush because I'm still working on figuring out what to do in regards to paint. So that's as far as we've gone. Still trying to decide what to do with paint. Still need to build the pilot. When it came to the base, I got a whole bunch of extra night pieces. So there's some neat little night bits in there. And there's a pillar at the back. The pillar is holding up the Tantalus with a dime, a Canadian dime, because it's ferrous, and there's a decent sized magnet holding it up. To balance it in there, I had to put it a little bit further back on the pillar than I would have liked, but it is holding, and it's like it's on there. It's not really going anywhere. You don't want to pick up the Tantalus itself because the base might come off. So I'm going to have to move it by the base. I may replace the magnet with a little bit of a stronger one later on. But until then, I think this will do perfectly fine. When it comes to painting it, again, still trying to decide. I'm thinking about maybe doing a repaint of the Dark Eldar to a red. I'm still playing with that idea, mostly because I have a ton of freehand. And having to redo all of the freehand on all the different models is a bit overwhelming. So I haven't decided on that yet. But overall, very happy with the model. It's not the most detailed model I've ever worked with. It is definitely the easiest one to assemble. It's just all the cleanup that you need to take care of is definitely time consuming. So yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really look forward to maybe continuing to show you the progress on this as I finally finish up cleaning everything, maybe magnetizing the sail and starting to work on actually painting the model. We'll see how that goes. I really am not going to rush painting this one as I do with most of my other stuff. Since this is going to be like a centerpiece model as opposed to just a game piece, because I've tried it on the table. For the price point, it's a little underwhelming, but it does look really striking when it's on the table with all of the different units flying around it. But again, I wasn't I wasn't running a Coven list. It was a Cabalite, so that might have been the issue. So I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, that's pretty much the Tantalus, how she looks, how she goes, and that's all. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys later.